Ever thought about a career as a pill maker operator, making those little tablets we see everywhere?
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, it might seem like just pushing a button, but there's uh,
More to it.
way more. Once you really dive in.
A whole hidden world, huh?
Exactly. And luckily, this RoleCatcher guide, it's like a roadmap to that world.
I was just looking at this. Yeah, it really breaks down the whole pharmaceutical scene, which most people, I think, don't really picture right.
Right. It's not just like some sterile lab with people in white coats.
Oh, not at all. This guide makes it clear it's, I think, more like a factory floor, serious machinery involved.
Yeah. And the guide doesn't sugarcoat it either. Long hours, strict deadlines, working with, dot chemicals. It's intense.
Definitely not for everyone. But that's where the reward comes in. You're part of something big, making medication that, could be helping someone with a serious condition or even just to sleep better.
Talk about impact. But what about the day-to-day? Is it as simple as it sounds?
So it's not just tossing ingredients together, right? You're operating high-tech machines, mixing, compressing, the whole process.
Wow, so there's a real technical aspect to it then.
Absolutely. This guide stresses that a lot. You'd be responsible for fine-tuning those machines, fixing any problems, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Which makes sense, especially when they talk about this whole quality control thing. Sounds rigorous.
Oh, big time. It's all about precision. Temperature has to be exact. Think of it like baking, but with way, way higher stakes.
Yeah, if you mess up a batch of cookies, it's not the end of the world. But with medication.
Exactly. Huge responsibility.
It's amazing how much goes into something we just kind of take for granted.
Yeah.
You pop a pill without a second thought, but there's this whole team of people making sure it's safe and effective.
It's a team effort, for sure.
Right.
And that's what I like about how this guide presents it. These pill maker operators, they're like the unsung heroes of healthcare.
Totally. So we've got these unsung heroes, right? But then there's all this talk about automation, robots, and whatnot. Does this guide address that? Is it going to replace these jobs entirely?
Yeah, it's a common concern, for sure. And this guide, to its credit, dives right into that.
What's the verdict?
Well, it's not so simple. I mean, yeah, we're seeing more and more advanced machines doing things that used to require, human hands.
Right, but
But here's the thing. It's not necessarily about replacement, more like, an evolution of the role. Think of it this way. You're not just a machine operator anymore. You're more like the overseer, the one who keeps everything running.
so you're not feeding materials in, you're what? Optimizing the whole line, designing new stuff.
Exactly. It's about staying ahead of the curve.
So learning new software, keeping up with the tech, that's important.
This guide really hammers that home. You got to be adaptable, always learning. That's the key takeaway for me, at least.
Makes sense. But what about folks just starting out? Is there a clear path for them?
This guide actually lays out a really nice career path, different stages, entry level, moving up to supervisory. It's all there.
And how do you stand out in that kind of market?
Well, beyond a high school diploma, which is usually enough to get started, they talk a lot about extra certifications, training programs, that kind of thing.
Chewy serious, right?
Exactly. It's an investment.
Speaking of investment, this whole job search process can be a beast, right?
Yeah. Tell me about it.
But RoleCatcher seem to have resources for that too.
Yeah. They've got this whole system really streamlines things.
Like what they do your resume for you.
Well, not quite, but almost. They analyze job descriptions, figure out your best skills, even tailor your resume to fit specific roles.
Wow, so no more staring at a blank screen for hours trying to sound impressive.
Exactly. They've even got this AI thing for interview practice.
AI giving you feedback. That's wild.
It's like having a personal coach, but, digital.
So you're not just prepared for the questions. You're actually ready to show your passion, your knowledge, everything.
And that matters, especially in a field like this, right? It's not just about the technical stuff. It's about caring about the bigger picture.
Absolutely. But there's this other section here in the guide, role function. What's that all about?
Oh, this is where they get into the less obvious skills. And honestly, it surprised me.
Like what? You need to be a people person to make pills.
Well, not exactly people person, but they talk about customer service, believe it or not.
Customer service? In a factory, how does that even work?
It's not like you're dealing with customers face to face, but it's about understanding that you're part of this bigger chain, right? The end user, the patient, they matter.
So it's the care you put into each pill, that's a form of customer service.
In a way, yeah. You're serving the end user, even indirectly.
That's a cool way to look at it. What other unexpected skills do they talk about? So it's about understanding those connections, even in a job that seems, kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, and this guide, it doesn't just tell you that. It actually gives you ways to put it into practice. Like it talks about always learning, staying up to date, almost like being a student of pill making?
Which, with all the automation stuff, makes sense, right?
Yeah,
You got to be ready for whatever's next.
exactly. And they give concrete examples. Like you start by maybe understanding the different types of pills, how they're made, all that. Then, as you get experience, you're the one troubleshooting the equipment, maybe even training new people on those super advanced machines.
So you go from student to teacher, all while keeping up with the latest tech. That's a pretty cool trajectory.
Right. It shows there's room to grow. Like the guide even mentions some pill maker operators with some extra schooling, maybe in engineering or pharmaceuticals, they could move into leadership roles. Could even be the ones designing the factories of the future.
So starting on the factory floor, you could end up leading a whole team of engineers, all because of, that solid foundation in pill making.
Exactly. It's a springboard, not a dead end. And this RoleCatcher guide, it really lays out how to make that jump, step by step.
Wow, they really have thought of everything. This deep dive has been, honestly, eye-opening. Who knew a job with, pill in the title could be so dynamic?
Right. It's about the people, the skills, the impact. It's about being a part of something bigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening, if you're even a little intrigued, maybe you like working with your hands, or you're into the whole science of medicine, or you just want a job that's, challenging but also really rewarding, don't underestimate the power of a pill.
Well said. This tiny tablet, it represents a world of possibility. And with the right resources, like RoleCatcher, you can be a part of that.
And that's it for today's deep dive into the world of pill maker operators. If this episode has got you curious, we'll be sure to include a link to RoleCatcher in the show notes.
And hey, remember, the most important ingredient in any career is your own curiosity, your own drive.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring. You never know what you might find.